Hello, everybody. This is the insurance exam queen, and we're going to do a little video on boat insurance. Now, with boat, there are most states on the insurance exam do not go intensely into boat or watercraft, but there are some states that do go more into depth. And those states tend to be like ones either on the coast where there are more boats, or like Michigan where there's Great Lakes. So your exam may go way more into boats than most people's. I'm going to keep this lesson at like the generic surface level of boats. I'm not going to go deep into boats because again, that's only some state exams will go that deeply into boats. But this will be a good general understanding of boat insurance and also what you're likely to be asked about. So even if you do have a exam where they go heavily into boats like Michigan or like North Carolina, it's not one of the highly tested topics. You're going to see 1 to 2 questions on it. It's not a main thing that they ask about, even though it's in your course text. Remember, with this whole exam, whatever course you have, Exam FX, Kaplan, Excel, 80 Bank, or whatever, when they teach you a concept, they have to put everything about that concept in the course in order to be state approved, including things that won't actually show up on the exam. My focus is always on the things that will actually, what is my dog doing? What just happened? I'm going to test on things. Sorry, some weird sound and I thought it was my dog, but I guess not. It sounds like his feet on the tile. I'm so sorry. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So I focus on things that are actually show up on the exam, the things that you actually need to know. I don't overinflate the material that I teach you just because it's state approved. I want to show you the things that that are important for you. Oh, he's under the couch. That's why it's such a weird sound. He was trying to get out from couch. There was like this intense scratching and I'm like, what the heck? Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. Not as bad as the class the other day where the dog was throwing up. And I caught it on camera. Anyway, I'm going to teach you what you actually need to know. So let's talk about boat. Okay. So first of all, what we want to understand is that your homeowners will cover the boat. Homeowners covers the boat. Okay, now, when we are talking about homeowners covering the boat, though, we don't mean all boats. And really, what we truly mean when we think that homeowners covers the boats, what they cover for the boat in terms of property damage, and property damage is like the boat itself. So like if the boat crashes into something and the boat gets dented and dinged and danged, if the boat is in a collision and it's crashed, the most that the homeowners will pay is $1,500. $1,500, that's it. So when I say that the homeowners covers the boat, we're not talking about a nice boat. We're talking about like a rowboat with like a tiny little engine on it, like a very small boat, because no boat worth its money is going to be less than $1,500, right? So first we have to understand that the homeowners will cover a boat, but we're talking little boat, baby boat, because at most the property damage for the boat is going to be $1,500. Okay. Then what we also want to understand is it does cover the liability. And what we mean here is liability is what I am responsible for. I am responsible if I am liable. If I'm liable, I'm responsible. The liability will come from the homeowners. So whatever, basically that's going to be coverage E. So whatever you have for coverage E, liability will extend to the boat. So if you're on the boat, you're driving around on your boat and you hit another boat in the water, your liability coverage E will pay out to them both their property. Like if you damage their boat, it will pay to fix their boat and it will pay if they have any medical bills. Okay. So it will cover the liability just like coverage E does. And with the liability, it kind of works like auto. Right? It works like auto. When you think about car insurance, you have money for their bodily injury, you have money for their property damage. And so it looks like an auto policy. Now, in addition to the boat, that homeowners covers the boat, that the property damage on the homeowners is $1,500, that you do have liability, there's a couple of rules that they want you to know. And the first rule is that you cannot, if you're making money, you can't make money with the boat. And that would be either, renting it out. They don't want you to rent it out, or if you charge a fee to carry someone, to like transport them. If you say, oh, well, I have a boat and you need to get from this side of the lake to that side of the lake. If you give me $100, I'll take you across. Your homeowners or boat policy does not cover that. So, oh, by the way, homeowners does cover the boat, but if your boat is bigger than $1,500 worth, you're going to want an actual boat policy. So homeowners will cover it for both property damage and liability, but it's very limited, $1,500 for property, whatever coverage E you have for liability. If you have a boat that is worth more than $1,500, you would get a whole separate boat policy. But either way, these rules work for either homeowners or a boat policy. So one, you're not allowed to make money off of the boat. You are not allowed to race. They do not like racing. And that's true for auto insurance as well. You're not allowed to be racing with the boat. And then you're not allowed to use it for business. So if you're using the boat for business, the coverage does not apply. And that's also true for car. These are all true for car too. With a boat, it's kind of interesting because it's on the homeowners, but it functions like an auto and it has a lot of the same rules as the auto. You're not allowed to make money for it. You're not allowed to rent it out, charge it for a fee. You're not allowed to race it, and you're not allowed to use it for business. Those are all true with auto as well. Now, the biggest thing that we want to memorize, everything I said before is all great and grand, but in terms of what do we need to memorize when it comes to a boat? Your homeowners will only cover a boat if it fits certain parameters. And there are things, and I don't know enough about this. I'll probably learn more now that I'm married to a fisher who goes boating, but they're not married. We will be. Sorry. I'm dating. We'll eventually be married. He made me wait. He told me we have to wait 6 months because I like to get married quickly. Still divorcing the first guy. Anyway, sorry. What you want to, there's thing called, there is a inboard powered motor and an outboard motor. And I don't really know. I assume the inboard motor is like in the boat and then an outboard motor is like out of the boat. I'm pretty sure that that is how that works. It doesn't matter for us if we know what in or out means. All we need to remember is that if a boat is an inboard motor, so they're gonna say it like inboard and outboard. That's how they're gonna call it. We're gonna focus on in and out, okay? So the memory trick for boat insurance is we wanna go in 50, out 25, and then 26 feet, okay? This is what we wanna memorize for boat. This is the most important thing of all the things that I talked about. This is the parameters of a boat that's allowed to be on homeowners. So what they're saying is if your homeowners covers your boat, it cannot be bigger than an inboard motor of 50 feet, 50 horse. This is horsepower. Whether you remember the horsepower or not, doesn't matter, but an inboard motor cannot be bigger than 50 horsepower. So if they say you have a boat with 100 horse, if you have an inboard motor with 100 horsepower, that's way too big. The inboard motor can only be 50, up to 50. It can be less than 50, but it cannot exceed 50. The outboard motor can be 25 horsepower and not bigger than that. So if they say that you have an outboard motor with 50 horsepower, that's too much and they will not cover it, okay? So your boat can be, an inboard motor can be up to 50 horsepower. An outboard motor can be up to 25 horsepower. And then the boat itself cannot be bigger than 26 feet. So if you have a boat that is 27 feet, homeowners don't cover it. It has to be 26 feet or less. So 26 feet or less in order for them to cover the boat. This is the one I have seen over and over again. The boat has to be 26 feet and they will ask you questions. Your boat was 27 feet. Your boat was 30 feet. Your boat was blah, blah, blah. What coverage is provided? None. It has to be 26 feet or less. All of these are or less, by the way. So again, our little memory trick for boat is in 50, out 25, 26 feet. In 50, out 25, 26 feet. In 50, out 25, 26 feet. This is exactly what I use when I go to take the test. Because again, I've taken many of these state exams. I always score somewhere in the 90%. I never even get 100. It's hard to get 100. And what I use this for boats. Because one, boats are not asked about very much in most states. But if it is, it's usually this one, 26 feet. The boat cannot be bigger than 26 feet. So the homeowners will not provide coverage if the boat is bigger than 26 feet. Okay. So in 50, out 25, 26 feet. In 50, out 25, 26 feet. Okay. That's it for boat. Like I said, there is definitely some states that will go way more into boats, but they don't always ask too much about it. So it's not a topic you need to be super aware of. Okay, so I got a question. It says, if you have a DP2, would boat be covered? I believe that's actually a really great question. I don't think they talk about boats on dwelling at all. And if you did see that as a question, let me know. But they usually only refer to boats on homeowners. But I would imagine boats are not automatically covered on a dwelling, but I don't even know. Since I don't know it, oh, that wasn't, okay. So you are in North Carolina, which does go way more into boats. But so if they, oh, they're asking what boat would be covered, a canoe or a rowboat? Or, okay, I'm kind of confused on that question. But they do cover canoes and they do cover rowboats.
So they said, if I'm almost positive about this, because it was kind of confusing to me.
Yeah.
That it was right on the inboard. It was right on the outboard. And then it said the 26 feet, but then it said canoe and rowboat were together. And I was like,
is this like option A,
yep.
Option B, option C, option D? Is that how it was?
Yes.
Then I would go with canoe and rowboat. Because all of these would be covered on a homeowner's. So what this question must be saying is that boats are not covered on dwelling, that a boat with a motor is not covered on dwelling. I would imagine that that's what the question. So then I would go with canoe and rowboat because those are covered. Those are just like personal property. Those, if they don't have a motor, they're not really seen as a boat. You know what I'm saying?
And then there was one other question. It was with the sailboat. And it was separate, but I don't know exactly how it was worded.
Yeah. And like I said, you're in North Carolina, so there's going to be a lot more boat stuff that also I myself am not super familiar with because it's so minimal. The states that go into it are just a couple of them. Right. And it's not, again, it's not a highly tested topic. Now you probably saw a lot of boat questions on there. Do you know like how many you felt like you saw on the North Carolina exam?
That's it.
Oh, see, yep. You've got like pages of boat material and they ask you 2 questions on it.
Yep.
Yeah. So see, prove my point. Barely talk about boat.
I know, right?
Yep. Okay, perfect. All right. Any other boat questions? Okay. And I'm gonna look myself to see if I can find anything about I've never seen anything about boats and dwelling before. So that's making me curious. So I'll double check. Okay.